So I've talked about this, like a lot of people have talked about it, and it's just getting me thinking over and over again that it seems some people don't understand. Now, as I've said before, people will want to run with what they hear because they want their dream matches. And look, there's nothing against wanting a dream match or a dream rematch. There's nothing against that. If you want it and if you want it that bad, maybe it might materialize itself into reality, or you might have to wait, a little longer for it to become real. So I get it. I mean, there are several dream matches and rematches I would love to see. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see them, but until so-and-sos are in the same facility or same promotion or whatever, it's not going to happen. Not yet, that is. But there are dream matches and dream rematches I would love to see. Don't get me wrong. If I and millions of fans could turn back time, we would love to finally get, that Sting Undertaker dream match if we could reverse time. That would be one of the first things we do. I guarantee it. But just because we want them, when we hear this kind of news, it doesn't mean we're going to get them right away. I even said in my previous audio video that if fans had their way and they had control over all of pro wrestling, no matter what company it was, I mean, if they had control over all the companies, period, that there's no doubt in my mind they would put dream match after dream match after dream match together, and they would put in stipulations, and I do apologize for that notification there. That's a message from my Facebook Messenger. But again, like I said, they would put together dream match after dream match after dream match, and they could add in stipulations of 90-minute Iron Woman match, a 90-minute Iron Man match, and then they book it to go to a draw. This is again another 90 minutes. That's how these people are because of who they want to see in the ring. That's how they are. But what they need to understand, though, and this is a lesson that very slowly, and I say it with all due respect, to the likes of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Mike Johnson of PW Insider, to people like JD from NY206 Off the Script, Jason Solomon of Solomonster Sounds Off, Alex Six of Just Alex Central, and many others. I say this with all due respect. Okay? I say this with all due respect, that right now they are still slowly learning and getting adjusted to the fact that this is a whole new regime. This is a whole new era, okay? This is a whole new ball game, if you will, and not the same one before. Because the one before, I should say, was the Vince McMahon, regime. And under that, it was more than likely information would get leaked out. And why? Because those that would leak it out didn't like Vince McMahon. And they would personally talk maybe with certain talents that didn't want to be there under Vince either. So they would leak out that information, and Vince, because of the way he ran things, wouldn't pay one iota, wouldn't give two blankety blanks about what got leaked out because he didn't think it would be serious. He thought people would want to remain. And so that information would get out there. But now in this regime, you better believe Triple H, Nick Khan, TKO, but mostly Triple H, they give a damn. They give a damn about what gets leaked out. And they basically say, we ain't going to let you guys get any information any more than what you need. Any more than what you need. So for people to come out and believe, when they hear reports of Ricochet, Ricochet, real name I think was Andrew Tate, has given his notice that he doesn't want to be part of WWE anymore. We don't know if that's true because they still haven't confirmed it. A lot of people could say, well, the more that reported, it sounds like more of it's a reality. You don't know that. You don't know if that's a reality. Heck, there's somebody today that came out and said that WWE purposely sent out false information about contracts expiring. So how do we know if that little information is true? How do we know that maybe they didn't send out false information about Ricochet putting in his notice? You don't know that. You don't know that. You see what I'm saying? They are not going to let you know about what's happening. They're not about to let you know what's happening like you used to find out in the past. Because again, this is an all new regime. This is an all new, this is an all new team of players that are more secretive in keeping things close to the vest than they were under Vince. And that's a fact. That's a fact. They are more close to keeping things under the vest, to the vest, I should say. I'm trying to find the right word to say, than they were when Vince was running things. And look, here's what's interesting. You could tell people that until they're blue in the face, or until you're blue in the face, I should say. You could tell people that until they're blue in the face. But like I said, to those I have a lot of respect for, Sean Ross Sapp, JD, just Alex, Salamonster, Mike Johnson, you could tell them that all that until you're blue in the face, and yet they'll probably come out and say, well, we've been hearing this and that and this and that. And here's why. Here's why. Because they have become so accustomed, they have become so trained into thinking things still remain the same behind the scenes like they were with Vince, even now with the Triple H regime, when they know damn well that ain't true. They know damn well that things behind the scenes are not the same anymore, and thus things don't get leaked out so easily. I mean, one person brought it up just now in response to something I said on Twitter about this yesterday. When I said, don't believe everything you read or hear from some of these outlets. Don't believe some of what you hear, right? A person responded because one person said, oh, Ricochet's gone and everything, and yet myself and others point out that Ricochet was wearing new merch. Why give the guy new merch if he was leaving? I don't understand that. What sense does that make, huh? And the person that responded to that individual, after they responded to me, said, hey, no one knew Jordan Grace, TNA Knockouts champion, was going to be at NXT on the same night as Ethan Page. Nobody knew either one of them was going to be there. Nobody knew. Not the dirt sheets, not Fightful, nobody. Nobody knew it until it was done. Only then did they get the information. They basically confirmed what I was saying. This is an all-new regime. You think WWE is going to let it leak out now? This WWE is going to let it leak out now? Oh, Ethan Page is going to be NXT bound. Do you think they're going to let that happen? You think they're going to let a leak of, oh, Jordan Grace is going to cross over from TNA. Get ready. You think they're going to let that leak? Hell no. Hell no. So people have to understand, just because you are used to what happened in the past and you become trained by that, doesn't mean things are remaining that way. What that means is you have to go by that old saying that, you can always teach an old dog new tricks. Well, guess what? To paraphrase that, it looks like the inside, dirt sheets like Fightful and all them, they're going to have to learn some new tricks as well. And those new tricks, unfortunately, are going to be, well, this is what we're hearing, but we can only assume because we don't know anymore. And that's the truth, and I say it with all due respect to them. I say it with all due respect. The fact is, just because, you think things remain the same behind the scenes and you're going to get information like you used to, doesn't mean you will. With a change in management comes a change in, a lot of things, back behind the scenes. I was at Walmart the other day, and I bumped into a former fellow employee there. And they told me something that I wasn't even aware of, even when I was in my last months there. They told me that the Patterson Walmart used to be under the Bay Area region management, right? Well, I find out via them that things have changed. And now the new regional management is Central Valley Modesto Turlock. Thus is the reason why things in some people's eyes has gone downhill and why the pay rate is lesser than it was under the San Francisco stuff. Get what I'm saying? As strange as a comparison that is to make, that shows you new management means changes will occur whether you like them or you don't. And what that means here, ladies and gentlemen, what that means here with WWE under this new TKO management, with Triple H, running the ship along with Nick Khan, what it means is, guess what? You thought you think you're going to keep getting your information from behind the scenes from your quote unquote inside sources like you used to? Guess again. The ball game has changed. Things have changed. Now you basically have to be like, well, this is what we're hearing, but we can't really, accurately report that because we don't know what's really going on anymore. And you can't tell me, and I say it with all due respect to them, you can't tell me that it doesn't upset the likes of Sean Ross Sapp. It doesn't upset the likes of Mike Johnson. It doesn't upset the likes of Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez. It doesn't upset the likes of JD and Solomon and just Alex. When they hear about, when they hear possible rumors of things happening, within a company, but then they get proven wrong. Or they get thrown off the track because all of a sudden someone debuts or an announcement happens that they didn't even know about. And because usually they're on the cusp. They usually have information given to them. You can't tell me that doesn't piss them off, because it does. It does piss them off. And they need to realize things have changed. It's not the same anymore. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan still, but I don't watch wrestling on a weekly basis like I used to unless I feel it's going to be really good. But the benefit of not watching it on a weekly basis and catching up on it via YouTube and, replays and all that, you know what the benefit is? Being on the outside looking in is I can decipher. As I'm one of those people that could see the situations going on here and there. All right? I could see and piece together, little tidbits here and there and give my own analysis, my own opinions. And I'm not saying my opinions are correct. I'm not saying my opinions are truth. And that's another notification vibration. I do apologize. I'm not saying they aren't true. I'm not saying they are fact. I'm just giving my opinions, my theories based on what I see. And what I see is a management team with Triple H in charge as the COO. I see a management team that is more dedicated to keeping information, contractual information, venue information, and all that close and tight-lipped to the vest than the last regime. That's what I see. And people need to wake up and realize that right now. So if I'm JD, if I'm Solomonster tonight on Tuesday Night Titans, if I'm them, and they do a great job, don't get me wrong, but if I'm them, I would not talk about the Ricochet contractual situation and talk about it like he is done, he's gone. No. I would say, well, it sounds like he is, but here's why that might not be the case, and point out certain things others have pointed out. They need to show that even though it sounds like to them and everybody else that it's all pretty much all but done for Ricochet and the company, doesn't mean it is. They gotta watch what they say. They gotta say, yeah, it seems like all signs are pointing that way, but we're not really sure. We're not really sure because people are saying he had new merch on last night. Samantha Irvin with him in the ambulance. It's like we don't really know. We're not really sure. They need to bring this stuff up and not just assume. Because when you assume, you look like an idiot. You do. You make yourself look foolish. And that's not good. You cause any reputation you have to plummet. And believe me, I can name numerous times where I've assumed something and I've been wrong and I've had to eat crow. I've had. So if I'm anybody, when it comes to this kind of, talk, this contractual talk, I would watch what I hear, what I would watch, what I read, and I would just take it with a grain of salt right now until I get further information. And either I get confirmation from the person themselves or the company they work for themselves. I take what I hear with a grain of salt. Because I also want you to think about this. And I think I mentioned this in the previous audio video. Ricochet, given his notice, the timing is ironic. The timing is ironic, seeing as though not within that same week, you had freaking Ospreay. You had Ospreay talking about, Ricochet not being utilized very well in this company, being put on a social media show like Speed and, so on. And all of a sudden, within the same week, Ricochet gives his notice? See, something there doesn't click right, in my opinion. Something there doesn't seem to, I guess you could say, make sense. So you got to keep an eye on that. You got to notice things like that. You got to notice little tidbits here and there like that before you make any kind of assumption. You do. Because if you make an assumption and your assumption turns out to be wrong, again, you're going to look like a fool. So if I'm all these reliable outlets, I start learning a new trick. And that new trick is to not be so confident. Not be so assured that, hey, what I'm hearing is true, because guess what? You don't. You don't know whether or not something is true or it's not. Let's be honest. How many examples when Triple H has been running things on his own has he shown that, hey, I'm not going to let the dirt sheets or any of them, know what's happening. I'm going to surprise them along with everybody else. How many times have you done that? Many times. He did that with Johnny Gargano. He did that with CM Punk. And like I mentioned earlier, he did that with Jordan Grace and Ethan Page. These people are learning from their mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, of not giving out information. They're learning that they have little tattletales in the company, little snitches in the company, and they're not going to let those snitches, those tattletales, know any more than what they need to. They might let a little information go out there, but that's about it. Because most of the time now, it's like going back to the old days. You just got to tune in and see what happens next. And that's about it. That's about it. So again, I say it with all due respect to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, Mike Johnson of PW Insider, to WrestleVotes, to JD, to Solid Monster, to Alex. I say it with all due respect to you guys. And what I say is this. Don't assume just yet, because you may not know the whole damn truth. Because the reason being is because the little inside, snitches, if you will, sources that you have or you know about, or the people you follow think they have, they may not be being told the whole thing either. They themselves might be being thrown for a loop. Because like I mentioned earlier, who's to say the report that somebody brought up earlier is not true? Then maybe WWE is purposely putting out false information to throw you off. Think about that. Think about that for a second before you make any assumptions. Before you are so confident in your reporting, think first. Think first about whether or not what you're getting from your inside source is true or it's not. Think about it. It's a whole new ball game, guys. It's a whole new ball game. And just like that old saying of teaching an old dog new tricks, to paraphrase it, it's time for these, reliable outlets to start learning some new tricks. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. And I am out.